why is it important to know the target group, the target audience of your YMCA? Yeah, because it's very important to be specific in everything what you do. It is not possible to work with everyone. The more specific we are, the more tangible as the result, the more tangible the impact. Because different people have different needs. And if we identify in our YMCA that we are working with everyone or with all young people in the country, that might create difficulties. Different needs definitely lead to different approaches, to different objectives, to different activities. And you can't plan or act without knowing the needs of the target audience. And it's also important to remember the approach do no harm, because if you do not know the background of your target group very well, you can create even more problems than there were before. It's better sometimes to do nothing than to bring harm to people. Slide number 3. How do we identify the target group, the target audience? What does it depend on? Definitely it's about the mission and the history of your organization. When you organize the process of strategic planning, or every time you identify the target groups, are they the same, or are you going to include other target groups within this strategic period of organization? Analyzing of neighborhood. Definitely, it depends in what kind of communities you are working in. So if you are going to work with, if you are living in Roman community, for example, we can expect that probably Roman youth will be the target group. But if you don't have any single Roman person, it's hardly to imagine that this target group will be included. And of course, analysis of vulnerabilities. Hopefully when we meet, so we will speak more about it, but it's very important to understand the vulnerable groups of your communities, like who are living the most difficult lives, who cannot help themselves, who really need your support, whose rights are violated constantly. And you can't deny the passion of your leaders, of course, especially if you are volunteer organizations. Sometimes in small organizations, it's very important that volunteers are following their own passion in their work. And if you have any questions and comments, you can interfere anytime. I will continue. So characteristics which might be important when we identify the target groups. Please help me here, because I put several examples. This might be gender, age, occupation, if they are working or studying, or they do not have jobs at all. Vulnerabilities, geography, anything else? What is not mentioned?
You can mention it in the chat, we will follow. So here, or you may speak up, speak loud. Race, sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Preferred language.
Yep.
Religion.
Mm-hmm.
Financial situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Function.
Do you mean like role? in organization, for example.
I'm reading aloud. Ellen, could you explain a little bit what do you mean by function?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like in Sweden we use 7 discrimination grounds, and one of them is functionality, like if you have a disability.
You mean vulnerabilities, disabilities? No.
Yeah, as a physical or mental disability.
Health also as well. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, health issues. Yeah, thank you so much for your examples. Definitely, like the characteristics might be different, and they depend on neighborhood you are working with. So,
and if you allow me to add just one word, I would say that not always all of them are important. Sometimes only few are important, and sometimes other few are important. But it's very important for us to identify our target group, the group of people we're working with, as precisely as we can. But once again, it doesn't mean that all of the issues that were listed now, that they all are of the same importance at any time.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. Yeah, this is important. And so let's take George Williams. Yeah, he founded YMCA in 1844, and let's try to illustrate it by his example. What was his target group in 1844? And I know that Martina and Matthew are good specialists in this sphere, so please help us.
People are commenting in the chat saying young men, young men working in factories, young working class men.
Yeah, definitely. So gender was important.
Yeah.
These were only men. And you also mentioned like working men and working in
young
factories
people
mostly.
Living in London. That's important. Living
That's
in London.
Yep.
Young men who after work only drank and gambled.
Yep. Yep.
Faith also.
Yeah.
Young Christian men who after work only drank and gambled.
Have we forgotten anything, Martina?
Oh, I think I think it's very precise, and I think at that time the YMCA was really very much aligned with the name. So in fact, the Young Men Christian Association. So it was meant to be mostly for young men and Christians. And especially what you said, what you wrote for young working men who mainly came as apprentices to London. And I think Ina mentioned very well that the only possibility at that time was that they went after work to drink and gamble, and that was their only fun. So they wanted to make some kind of alternative to this life and show the young men working in London, usually coming from countryside, that they can have fun in different way, not only working and gambling, but also in Christian way without drinking.
Yeah, thank you.
One more note, victims of the terrible conditions in London.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you. So the next slide is with the question, what are the target groups your organization is working with? And this is like, I suggest that we put it very quickly to the chat so we can see the variety of target groups, and also check how precise you are in definitions of a target group. while people are writing, Martina, Tina, Matthew, there is a second presentation, and I wanted to show a few slides in the end of the session. So if you could download it while while we are working,
Is it the welcome
that would be
one?
nice.
The welcome?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
There is a schedule that I wanted to share.
Yeah, Tina, it is in the set.
yeah, I found it. I will do that. No problem.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there is anything in the chat, could you please voice?
Yes, there is some. Teenagers from 11 to 17, mostly from Moscow. Young refugees.
City, country.
It's from Nikos.
Okay.
Greece, I see. Depends on part of the organization, but could you please give at least one example? Finland, young people, children, families, the elderly, immigrants.
Quite
Kimberly,
broad, yeah, quite broad.
vulnerable children and young people aged 5-24 in the Renfrew area of Scotland.
Yeah, this is precise, yeah.
We just keep the first from Jan, vulnerable young people and families.
From?
Jan, from...
Yeah, thank you. Just this is my very quick feedback. Just please try to be precise as much as possible, yeah. Identify the area as well, if it's important, yeah.
Nikos again, young people age 13, 17 in major cities. Ellen, youth living in, how do you pronounce the name of the place? Sorry.
Umeå.
Umeå.
Umeå. Age 15, 18, seeking asylum in Sweden. Well, Jazz, vulnerable young people and families, school work and mental health support in Norfolk. NEET, which is young people not in employment, education, or training. Gabriela wrote, school-age teenagers from Essex communities, teenagers living in children's homes.
Yeah, and the feedback to Gabriela that probably it might be more precise, talking about the area and the age. Yeah, thank you. All right, tell me if we can continue.
I think, Alba. In Spain, we have two programs. One is usually during July, where wealth kids age 3-17 come to our summer camps. We also have a program which targets our families who suffer poverty and social exclusion.
Yeah, thank you. So you identified several target groups. Thank you. Thank you. Let's continue.
Yes, 5-20-24.
Okay, yeah. I guess the geography is important there as well.
Yes.
Might be added. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Please try to be precise in the description of the target group, especially when you are working with strategic planning and when you are working with project descriptions. Let's continue. This is, we are not asking you now to answer these questions aloud. Please do it for yourself. How does your YMCA perceive your target group? As a group that needs to have its problems solved by somebody else? Answer for yourself, yes or no. As a group not wanting to take responsibility? As a group that needs protection? As clients that need to have everything provided? As persons having strengths and talents? As a group that is capable of contributing to the solving of their own problems? Please also answer in yes or no. Yeah, reflect, is there anything that needs to be changed in the way young people are perceived in your community, in the way young people are perceived in your YMCA? Do you perceive them as active actors, as objects, or as subjects, someone you are just influencing? Please reflect on it, and I suggest you to reflect on this question in your YMCAs at some moment, especially when you identify the target group for your future projects. Because what we want to tell you is that it's very important that you perceive the target groups you are working with as active change makers, those people who have talents, who have strengths, who are who can change their lives. They need support. Yeah, they need probably very much support from yourself, but they have the potential, yeah, to be change makers. And we recommend to include your target audience in all processes of organization, needs assessment, strategic planning, governance, project design, project implementation, project evaluation. Because only they can tell what they really need and what activities suit them and what do not. And only they can change their own lives with your help, but actually only they. And talking about this, it's also quite important to identify a proactive approach, because when this is the next slide. Yeah, so of course we understand that it's crucial to make the needs assessment together with the target groups, so to know their needs. But we also need to understand that in the social sphere, sometimes it is important to be proactive and to promote other very relevant issues that your target groups cannot identify themselves. For example, the needs analysis shows that people need more income, they need other ways of education, they need new jobs, etc. However, you know that there is a huge global problem, climate change, and you understand that this situation influences their level of life greatly as well, although they do not notice it. So that would mean that you can also very easily introduce this topic working with your target groups. If you have any questions, comments, please interrupt, because I want to move forward to the next slide. Target groups and projects. So that was general short presentation about target groups, and one of the tasks that you will receive is to describe target groups in the project. And you will describe the problem. You will describe whose problem will be solved. Please be attentive with all characteristics that you have mentioned. Yeah, be precise as possible and put all relevant characteristics, and do not forget about the numbers. It's we understand that your projects probably will not be big. It's okay. This is just a working process, training process. Yeah, but please put approximate number of people you are going to work with. Probably you will have several target groups. It's absolutely fine. But then be aware that probably you will have different kinds of activities for them because they have different needs. And please also distinguish between target groups and partners. Partners with whom you are, who are actually already working in the same field. Like they are already solving the same problems that you are going to solve. And you know them, yeah, and you include them as partners, yeah. Target groups are those people whose lives will be changed, yeah, because of your project. They will have different kind of behavior, hopefully, yeah, because of your projects. They will hopefully think differently. They will have different attitude. They will receive new knowledge from your project. And partners will help you with this. Please do not confuse, because this is quite a typical mistake in project applications. Let's move forward. And if there are no questions about target groups, we are coming to problem description. So it's important to know like what exactly you want to reach and what exactly you are changing in the world. Next slide. If we Google what is problem, yeah, so we will see that this is the situation which is harmful and should be dealt with. The same in a project management. This is a specific harmful situation which leads to unfavorable conditions for people. People is the focus, yeah? And it leads to lowering quality of their lives and for negative impact for the whole community. So social problem, the problem that leads to negative impact for the whole community. Please also remember the rule roots and fruit, because almost all problems have different levels, and they have like roots and fruit, they have roots and consequences. And when you describe the problem, try to identify root problems and the question, okay, why is it like this? Why is it like this? It might help you. The next slide, if we do not have any comments or questions. And we are again coming back to the project application. So it will be your task to describe not only the target groups, but the problem you are going to solve by your project. And these are main 5 rules how the project description can look like and should look like in the project application. First, you give a short general description. Then you obligatory provide proofs, statistics, numbers, facts, and you prove that this problem really exists. You can put links, or you can put, okay, according to the needs assessment or according to the survey of, please include it. So you need to prove that this is really a problem. What happens if not to solve it? So you can show also the impact on other areas, the impact on the whole communities. If this problem is not solved, the consequences will be this, 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 and that. So you really need to show that it's important to solve this problem. It's important to pay attention to it. Number 4, definitely there are some other actors like government, other non-governmental organizations, business, who are already trying to do something about this problem. You are not alone in the community. And please mention them and identify who they are and what they are doing. Because if they are already providing enough, probably you do not need to deal with this problem, and you need to deal with a different one. But if you still think that they are doing this, this, and that, but they are doing not enough, you please describe it, because it's important. And by this, you will also identify your partners, like who are already dealing with it. And the last, like what you suggest and what will be the results, how the activities and how the projects that you are going to run will help to solve the projects that the problems that you have described.